The mission is to learn about Venice waltz and to learn about the magic of Venice waltz. And this magic exists not for one person, but exists for the harmony of two people. So my job is to show you how we can harmonize two bodies.
For me, we are playing around with time. Time sort of determines our lives. Time determines, of course, our dancing, and the magic of time and the magic of having time to spend and how we can accelerate time and what we can do with time to include in our dancing to get a good feeling. That for us is the magic, and that's the mission that we want to bring over.
Thank you very much. So we are looking forward to see your lecture. Thank you very much.
But this time he got an answer. And he asked the question again. And he got another answer. And he asked again. And he got another answer. And so he goes backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards until he looks. And he sees. And there's this beautiful. So the funny thing is, after being married to this lovely lady for 16 years and knowing her for 17 years, I still find her stunning. And the time that we spent together was always, without any exemption, wonderful, beautiful, and it hopefully will continue like that. So what I'm all about is that we're trying to somehow grasp time and what we can do with time. And the incredible thing is that we can, if we want to, accelerate time and we can decelerate time. We can play around with a particular measure. Somebody told me a little joke and said, time is measured if you're behind the toilet door or in front of it. So depending on how you feel, how the whole concept is, you have a different imagination of time. And when you go back to the example of my lonely heartbeat that was asking a question, just feel how long it can take for this heartbeat to get an answer and what is happening during that time. So what we're trying to do with time, we're trying to inspire people to feel something. And this is absolutely totally up to you, what you feel and what you can interpret into a particular space of time. So if you're dancing a competition and you're showing the judges and you're showing the audience everything that you can do, then most of the time the people that watch you, the judges and so on, they will be left in a feeling of, yeah, I've seen that, don't tell me all about it, just give me something that my fantasy can work with and that I myself can feel comfortable about. So time is all about the person that experiences it, and it's all about what the person that experiences it can feel. And that's exactly what we want to do now. We want to experience time. And for that, we need some kind of a measure of time. And the measure of time, so a long period, somehow became, again, our heartbeat. And we could say that about one second is a good measure. 1 second or 2 seconds, something like that. So if we take my lonely heartbeat again, that had like 1, 2, 3, 4, there's a measure. And if we part this measure, every second we have like 1, 1, 1, 1. And these measures, they feel indifferent. They are just measures. They are just like 1 second of time. And there's this ingenious thing about what they say syncopation. Depending on a syncopation, where you put a syncopation, we then can say it's an accent, and we can, as I said before, accelerate time or decelerate time. So what I want you to do now, because you're of course tired in the morning, I guess, and you want to get information, but to get your bodies a little bit moving, we need all the men to make a definite stamp, a definite noise on a 1. So we have 1, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1. Very good, fantastic. Hey, you're here, that's brilliant. It's very good. And we need the ladies to go in between on the other second with the clap. We got a 1, 2, 1, 2, a 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, a 1, 2. Okay, thank you. So why we're doing this is because if we only did, for example, if we only did 1, 1, 1, 1, it is a very, very hard, very heavy movement. And dancing, as you probably know, because gravity and so on, is or has to feel heavy and it has to feel connected to the floor, but at the same time, it has to look light and interesting. So what we have to balance one, where we say, well, now we're really connected. We are standing in the floor, we are connected to the floor. But on the other hand, we also have to show lightness. So that's why we're doing these two things. So when the men say 1, it's heavy, and we do 3, 4, then we have the feeling of lightness. So can we do this again, please? 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1. Thank you, very good. Fantastic, you have all reached the certificate, you have all done successfully this lecture, you can all go home now. No. Now, I was talking about the syncopation. Now, if you add an accent, if you add a syncopation, then you change the feeling of the time that you have inside of this 1 second. Now, if you do this rhythmical interpretation again, and if I add something, you will feel that there is a difference in the time that you experience. So, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, ba da di chu, ta 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 za bu ba da 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 bu ba da da di da 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 da. Thank you. Very good. Now, if you have a syncopation before the main beat, you stretch the time. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that whole time feels like a drift and it feels long. Okay? Now for that, we have an example, of course. So if you take this 1 second times and I start with the next example, and after 4 bars, you start with your stamping and your clapping again. And then we blend it into some music. Here we go. So. Hang on. This is not what I wanted. I wanted this. Here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, continue. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, thank you. So you can hear the longer time space. Can you experience that? Do you feel that? Because I can see you stamping and clapping and everything else, and you being a knowledgeable crowd, and of course you want to learn something and look very concentrated. But we as teachers, we need to feed off the responses from you. So do you hear something in there? Do you feel something from that? Thank you, that is a brilliant answer. I hope you continue like that. So what we want you to get, we know it, we feel it, we can do it, but we want to get it over to you, that you actually get the feeling of time. Now if we take this back to this 2 second interval. If we do the same thing and we have the stamping and the clapping and so on, but we add the syncopation at a different time. then we change the feeling of the time. We accelerate time. So if you do your stamping and clapping again, 5, 6, 7, and go. 1 or 2. Yadada. Yadadam. Yadadam. Bam bam ba da 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 dam bam ba da da yadadam bam da dam da da dam da dam yadadam. Thank you. Very good. Now you can feel, I hope, that this second, this time of 1 second, now starts to become shorter. And there's an urgency at the beginning of the bar. So before we had, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, there was an accent going onto the 1, but after the 1, there was a drift. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we turned it around, and we have 1 and 2, 3. Yadadam, bam, dadadam, bam, dam. So now time becomes somehow shorter, becomes more accelerated. And there's another thing that happens. If you change from a 4/4 timing to a 3/4 timing, what else of a feeling do you get? You get, in the long timing for the foxtrot, you get a long movement. If you have the timing of 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, it gives you the feeling of a turn. It gives you the feeling of rotation. Now there's where the Viennese waltz, of course, sets in. And you have, the Viennese waltz is a funny beast. It's an animal. It really is, because most couples that have lessons, of course, will have one or the other. They will say, oh, my Viennese waltz, if it works wonderful. It creates great feeling, and it works, and we fly across the room. But most of the time it doesn't work, and then it doesn't work at all. Any other dance, you will have, well, this figure over there and that figure over here, and sometimes a good feeling, sometimes not. But in the Viennese waltz, it's either or. It's either it works or it doesn't. And why that is, it's the only dance where you have this continuity of movement and the repetition of movement, and you get into some form of a trance, feeling of continuity. And if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. So harmony suddenly does not exist anymore. And if you haven't got harmony in this dance, especially in the Viennese waltz, I mean, it goes for other dances as well, but especially in the Viennese waltz, you haven't got it. The Viennese waltz looks shit. And it feels shit. And then it becomes of 2 minutes of pure pain. You can practice, you can run marathons, you can lift weights, and so on, and you will be able to dance through 2 minutes, but you are glad you had it behind you. On the other hand, Viennese waltz can feel like a lift. It can feel like flight. And you can possibly not anywhere else in any other dance experience the same thing. Now, the important thing about it is, what are you doing with this time that you have? And when I'm talking about acceleration, 1 and 2, 3, there's this urgency. I have to do. It's like I always say to people that it's very good if you're a bank robber and you leave the bank dancing Viennese waltz. Because it feels like somebody is standing behind you with a revolver and saying, go, go, and go. But on the other hand, of course, if you're robbing a bank and you're dancing Viennese waltz, nobody's going to stop you. They look for somebody else. So, just in case you ever want to rob a bank, leave it by dancing Viennese waltz. I think it's a good idea. But generally what I mean is that when you start, there's the one end. And you have to move. You can't just lean into that and hope for the best, because the whole body has to shift. And there is a one end, there's a pickup in your back, one end, and you throw a leg, and you move. And if you don't get this first part right, then we have a little bit of a problem. We know that. So, now it becomes more difficult for you, not for us here anymore, but for you, because now we're doing 3 different rhythms. Number 1, all men, do your normal stamp, no problem. 1, 1, good, we know that, very good. And the ladies are still doing their clapping. But now we need a few experts in rhythm, because now we need to accelerate time. And I hope you're pretty good in snapping with your fingers, because now we need on one end, and this is only for the men. I'm so sorry, the ladies are getting something much more difficult afterwards. So only for the men, we do one end, and there's another one. We have to calm down. If you want to accelerate, you have to, somewhere in between, you also have to take it back to accelerate again. And that is a syncopation we do before the 6. So we do 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6. So can we try this? All men, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6. Very good. Now this is where it becomes difficult, because now you have to stamp on 1, and on 1 again, and clap your fingers on 1 end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end, and 6, 1 end. Very good. Now you can imagine if this is not easy to exactly get that in, but that is what you have to do with your body, and that is what you have to do with your legs. There's a study by the Boston University, and the study goes like 150 pages or something like that, and it actually comes to the conclusion that ballroom dancing, especially as standard, is the most difficult thing that two people can ever do. And it's based on many, many, many different things, but basically coordination. Coordination, and the coordination what you can do within a specific time. Now for our ladies, now you have your clapping, of course. But that is not enough. What we also need to do, and that I can only advise anybody for any practice, men have feelings. So men are not just there for the athleticism and the movement and the shape and the hold and the right elbow and the right shoulder and the right technique and the right choreography and whatever else. Men are also creatures with feelings. And the best thing you can do as a lady is to take the confidence out of a man. And you can say, but you should have watched your right elbow. You should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done that. That's not good enough. What we have to do is we have to show appreciation. So as we just said before, what our men are doing now with stamping and doing this very much on time and very much, it's in the thousandths of seconds. It's not even 1/100th of a second. It's a very, very, very complicated biotope, we call it. It's a very complicated thing. And to show that appreciation, our ladies have to show the men how wonderful it was what they've done. So not just clapping is good enough, but this time we go, and that is after 2 bars. So after 4 bars, we go even more. After 6 bars, we go. And on the 8th bar, it goes. Well, you all know it. So, shall we try it? Nobody's watching, okay? It's only going to be on television and the WTSF and so on. So it's nobody can see you. It's only us that can be seen here. It's only the red dot that is telling me that this camera is running. So what we're going to try now is we're going to combine this, and we're going to go through 8 bars first. And we start with all the men, just with the feet, okay? 8 bars. Then 8 bars of this and that, and then the ladies can sit in, and we'll see what we can produce here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 5, 2, 3, 6, 7, 2, 3, 8, 2, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 1 and 6, 1 and 6, 1 and 6, 1. Good morning. 1. Yes. Hello, we are here. Are you there? Very good. That's what I meant with appreciation. I think he hasn't done his job correctly. He snapped on the wrong beat. I'm not giving him anything back. It might be a good idea if you did, because men need that. Now we try this whole thing. My God, time is going on. We do this with music. And what I've done is I got 8 bars for you to listen into that. And then it's the 8 bars with just the stamping. Then it's the 8 bars with the stamping and this. And please, ladies, show us some appreciation, not just with, he told me to clap. My wife always says, if you can't make it, fake it. So I'm not sure if she does that as well, but it goes for the majority of the world citizens. So what we want to do now is to really experience how wonderful this second bar of music, how much you can stretch time, how much you can feel how good your men have been doing their jobs. So we do it with the music together. If I can find the right thing. Right, here we go. So, 8 bars of listening, then we can continue. Here we go. Yep. Stop that. Here we go. Where are the noises from the ladies?
I do understand that it is a dancing seminar, but we must be able to scream somehow. Yeah,
but you can
possible.
easily scream if your partner is doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That
so
is
now
the
you got the
moment where
opportunity,
very
you're
loud.
not doing
It's
it.
not a problem at all, yeah? So let's just try one more time, please.
Okay, from the top. Well, if you did nothing else, you put a smile on your face for 5 seconds, that's something else. Yeah?
Yesterday, somebody did a lecture about emotions, yeah? That is about showing the emotions. I did study psychology, and people say that you have to feel right, and then it will look right. I always say, okay, that is fine, but sometimes on the competition, not sometimes, in majority of cases, we don't immediately feel right. So you first have to go from outwards inwards. So in case you a little bit probably fake it now, in the morning, everything hurts from
My
yesterday.
wife never fakes it.
No, of course, no, it's different.
Never.
No, I'm Russian, and Russian people know that Russian women are very strong, so we never feel sick. It's not really true, but the important thing, first, don't fake it a little bit, yeah? Put a smile on your face by saying, ha, why not? And then
You can
will
see how
start to feel
emotional
much
that
better.
was. Ah.
I'm trying
She was
not
present.
to ruin the microphone. A couple of years ago, I was teaching a couple that is teaching self-defense courses. And I thought, great, I teach them dancing, they teach me self-defense. Many things I couldn't do, but the first lesson was fantastic. They said, if somebody approaches you with the wrong intention, you have to stop that person. You just have to scream as loud as you can, stop! That was not a problem at all, yes? So I think that comes a little bit from teaching. There's one thing about harmony. Magic does not exist in dancing for one person, but always for two. So you have to be able to synchronize not only your movements, but your heartbeats. Why did we choose the heartbeat for Venice waltz? What is the speed, the tempo of Venice waltz? How many bars per minute? Who knows? 60 bars per minute. That is the speed of a healthy heartbeat, not of an athlete after Venice waltz. That is faster. But the general normal heartbeat, it's 60 bars per minute. Yeah? So that is why, some many years ago, when Venice waltz was developed, it was forbidden, because people were getting in a total trance after dancing Venice waltz, a little bit of champagne, a little bit of fine hole like this, a little bit of romance. Yeah? And you have to learn to synchronize not only the bodies, but also the heartbeat. If that goes together, if you feel that together, your Venice waltz will be magic. And nobody will be able to say, God forgive, another minute and a half. Yeah? I hear so many, Nastasia, please, we don't do Venice waltz. It's so boring. If it is boring, you didn't experience that magic. I understand there is no much choreography. You can do additional figures. They are lovely. But the Venice waltz in itself has a wonderful aura to it.
And to finish it off, I'm just watching the time because everybody is, of course, on time yet, which is very good. There's one thing that between what we just done about the foxtrot and the Viennese waltz, and you could also add the samba and other dances that work with this kind of syncopation. But if you're thinking about the foxtrot and the Viennese waltz, then there was one ingenious person out of the US. I myself am trained concert pianist in the Academy in Vienna. But this guy was just outrageous. And his name was Dave Brubeck. And he did many things that you probably know. The unsquared dance, or take 5, something like that. And this guy, long time ago, when I was once in the former East Germany, I bought a record and I didn't realize that this record is still so present now, like it was many years ago. And it is the music of I Feel Pretty. And they are playing it they're using both the beats. And they're using the Viennese waltz and the foxtrot, as you will see. And we were looking forward to this part of the lecture because with stiff legs not being warmed up, we're now trying to attempt to dance a few bars of Viennese waltz in this wonderful hall where actually dancing should be. And we say thank you to the families of Thurau and, of course, of Asis for having us here, because it's a great pleasure to teach in this hall here and to teach you. So to finalize and to finish our lecture, there is 1 minute of Dave Brubeck.